Well, welcome. We've got a few new members this month. So, as a very quick introduction, every month I hold some kind of workshop at the end of the month. And this is for Lux members. You get your Magic Mondays on a Monday, and then at the end of the month, we also have the workshop. So, if you are new, there's like 7 or 8 months worth of workshops that I've already done that you can go back into the library and work your way through. So that's nice. But yeah, each time I'm talking about something to do with divorce that I have found to be particularly relevant. Um, and just hopefully sharing skills that you can pick and choose from. Not everything that is useful for me is going to be useful for you. So have a go. Try and be open-minded and see what works, what doesn't. But obviously, don't assume that I'm right and you're wrong. Like, work through it and see what really works for you and what doesn't, just get rid of. And let me know too, so because I'm interested in what works for you as opposed to me, because we have different bodies, different minds, different situations. So just let me know. So, this month we're looking at legals. So I planned this back in December to talk about the energetics of the legal system. And as it happens, I've literally just got to the end of my own revisiting the legal system, courtesy of my ex. And as close as yesterday, I had a message from my solicitor saying, "Oh, by the way, you've got to be in court today." And I was like, I'm getting my nails done. I do not want to be in court. Luckily, they got back in time to say you don't have to be there. But the big difference I want you to notice here is that the first time around, any information like that would have completely floored me, and I would have probably had a panic attack. Whereas this time around, I'm pretty chill about it. But that's because I've done the stuff that we're working through today. So that's the background. Um, and I will also say that there were times over the last year where I've been like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm back here again. This is really difficult. It's affected my sleep. It's all the stuff that I talk about in the Magic Divorce Club for you guys. I know because I live it. And so I'm using these tools myself, leaning really hard on the trying not to respond, trying to hold myself steady, trying to work out what the next step is rather than, catastrophizing or trying to solve the whole future in a day. So, I'll talk about this in kind of three parts. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes at the same time in case you're wondering why I'm looking off in the distance. We've got three parts. So I'll talk about why the legal stuff is so triggering and such a tricky thing to navigate. Um, then I'll talk about the voice, which is why I'm wearing blue today, because the blue represents truth and connecting to throat. And then I want to take you through a little ceremony just to help you to connect into the throat. And then I'll talk to you about how ChatGPT specifically, I am starting to use Claude now, but we can talk about that in a minute, has been huge for protecting myself. So, like when we do stuff on a Magic Monday, we come into this Magic Divorce Clubhouse. It's surrounded by a blue layer, and I almost treat AI now as the protective layer. I put stuff into it so that it can protect my body from having to be the shock absorber for everything that comes my way. So I really wanted to share this with you guys because I think there's a lot around AI about whether we should use it, what's moral. And as women, we take on this stuff quite a lot and feel like, "Oh, okay, I'll be the one that doesn't use it because it's apparently bad or whatever else." But, we already believe in ourselves half as much as men. And I promise you, most men are going to be using it. So this tool is here for us and we can use it too. Obviously, you can do your own due diligence around what you want to put into it, but I guess I want to use this as a way of saying it's okay if you want to use it because I certainly do, and I found it really helpful. Okay, so obviously, when it comes to the legal side of divorce, I think what we forget is that divorce is traumatic. So it's not just a little bit stressful, it's like actual trauma. Your whole world has been turned upside down. What you were expecting for your future has just been taken away. And so the body experiences this as trauma, which means half of your brain is processing that, which means you only have half your brain left to do all this new stuff that you've never had to do before. And obviously, when we talk about legals, like these guys go to university for years to study this. So we have to go in remembering that we don't have a degree in family law. So it's okay to not understand it straight away or ever. Like there's certain things my lawyer says, and I'm like, okay. And like, I don't necessarily want to know it all. And I want him, because it was a man, you might have a woman, whatever. I want him to be my foot soldier in this and the one who protects me from needing to know everything. I do want to know a lot, but not necessarily all of the ins and outs. Like I've been on seminars about pensions and I still don't know what the hell they're talking about. And I've really tried, and I'm not thick. But there were times when I felt it because I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. So as a start off, being able to use something like ChatGPT or Claude to kind of go, please, can you explain this to me in a way that I might possibly understand is like level one of why that tool is great. So the main thing I want you to remember is that people take degrees in family law. This stuff is really hard. You've only got half a brain because you're going through a traumatic situation. So, with every single bit of the legal process, be really kind to yourself because, it's new information, and um, it doesn't matter how smart you are. It's a lot and there's all sorts going on in the background. So with everything, it's like compassion. This is hard. I'm going through a lot. I shouldn't be expecting myself to get this right now, or I shouldn't be expecting myself to be able to read a 5-page email from my solicitor and be like, great, like hold yourself with the utmost compassion. The other side of only having half a brain available, I still think I've only really got half a brain still available now, is you get triggered much more easily. Like it's very easy to get overwhelmed because the processing power just isn't there in the same way. And we have this little bit at the back of the brain where we go when we're in fight or flight or freeze. And if we stay there and try and make decisions from that point, it can get very expensive very quickly because all that bit of the brain wants to do is to close the loop. It doesn't care how it gets there, it just wants to close the loop. And then when you come back into feeling settled again, you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that actually. So being very mindful, we talked about it last time, of just making sure that you give yourself at least 24 hours before you make any really big decisions after you've had something that's made you feel triggered. So if you feel like you want to punch someone in the face, go, oh, I might be in fight. Because mostly we don't really want to punch people in the face. If you feel like you're wanting to run away and hide under a blanket, please just go and do that for 24 hours and then come back to it. Just see what I'm saying. So don't try and make big decisions when you are feeling particularly triggered. Okay, because it gets expensive, especially when you're dealing with lawyers. As you know, every time we send them an email, they're like, ka-ching. So just taking your time with those guys is the best way forward. And keep saying to them, because I found this time around, I kept saying to my lawyer, I just want to keep costs down. And I reminded him all the time. And as a result, he was like, oh, okay, we'll do it this way. So just keep remembering to do that. And then the good news is that we can get back out of that fight or flight and back in. And you guys know this because I talk about it all the time, but it is your breath. Your breath literally is your secret weapon when you're dealing with legal stuff. It has a hugely regulating experience on yourself because if you imagine your diaphragm as like a keyboard, so if you are a computer, your diaphragm is the keyboard that tells your brain that actually you're safe and you're not being chased by a tiger and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing about your breath is that if you're actually in a room with other people, when you slow down your breath, it has an impact on everyone in the room. So if you can feel things are starting to get heated, slowing down your breath has an impact on everybody else. It's quite magical. You can try it with your kids when they're dysregulating. Just sitting with them and breathing has a huge impact on slowing their nervous system down and helping them to kind of come out of their own fight, flight, freeze. Okay, so that's why this stuff is important. Now will move into the finding your voice part of this. Because I think the other thing about divorce and the legal system is you have to speak up for yourself. And personally, I found that very difficult. Kept feeling like, oh God, I'm going to get found out. I'm going to be told off. Like, I don't know why that particularly was so unnerving and unsettling for me, but the idea of being told off really impacted me, and I found it really triggering. And I was constantly getting told off. So having to just kind of stand up for myself, find my voice, work out what's true for me was one of the hardest things.